our subwoofer was sounding particularly good this morning. Welcome to the Double Shot. This is your favourite podcast with your favourite cousins, James and Alex Fitzgerald. Cuz Elon Musk takes over Twitter. Meanwhile, down here in Melbourne, I'm taking over the office. I'm in my casuals today. I've got a sloppy Joe on, as some people call it, a sweater. And I've taken over the office. I'm doing a restructure. It just needs a facelift, you know? So
yeah.
Elon Musk, he's doing everything probably 1 billion fold of what I am, but a takeover nonetheless, Cuzzy.
Taking over the office. Tell you what, really, really big news here in Queensland too. I have bought out my vest for the first time this calendar year.
See my vest, get your worries up your chest.
The temperature has officially dropped enough for me to start wearing probably my favourite garment of clothing, the vest.
Sorry, I was not ready for that. And by the way, you've got a slightly thicker, slightly puffier vest that you keep down here behind my desk, which I don't think that poor thing has seen any airtime. And that's a good Kathmandu.
That little Kathmandu number has been worn about 3 times by yours truly. I bought that in 2019 at the end of winter. Pandemic hit, haven't been down, and cannot wear that in Queensland. It's vest weather, but it's a light vest weather.
An unlikely duo, James and his iconic, most loved vests,
and
set of vests.
And tell me, you're back in Melbourne. We had you here last week, which was awesome in the studio. And you've had a very eventful weekend. You've caused so much excitement for that poor little sister of yours that she's kind of broken her arm trying to pack her bags to come for an overnight stay.
Wow, bedlam. Absolute bedlam. Yeah, I mean, look, I won't go into detail of how I've got a 4-year-old sister, but basically my father has my father has procreated. I'm nearly 30 and I've got a 4-year-old half sister. She is the light of my life. I absolutely adore her. She got so excited on Saturday night. She was packing her bag to come sleep over with Big Sissy, and in doing so, she's hoisted herself on a stool that is definitely not for a 4-year-old to climb on, trying to get her sleeping bag, which is like a 6'5" person couldn't have got up here. So I'm not sure what she was thinking, but that just speaks to the mind of a 4-year-old. Nothing is out of the question. And the poor thing has fallen off and she's done a compound fracture. I believe that's what it's called, where literally the bone in her arm has fully broken. So not a little line or anything. It's fully broken. The X-ray is something to behold. I just felt so sad for her. But everyone was yelling. It was mayhem. I had no idea what was going on, and the other 2-year-old was la 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 la.
Hey, yeah. and
so it was madness.
And speaking of mayhem, it was mayhem at the MCG yesterday. There was 90,000 people there for the Anzac Day clash, and it looked like a peach of a day down in Melbourne there. First time they've had 90,000 back at the MCG since 2019, I think, 2019 grand final. So what a awesome long weekend. The last of 3 for you guys down in Melbourne. We've still got one here in Queensland next week, but it's been a good run.
I don't know if you guys deserve all of your long weekends down there.
It really hurts in the back end of the year when we've got none.
and we just keep getting all these sporting ones. Like, yeah, cool. Yeah, call me when my long weekend's over. Now, speaking of things that probably need a bit of a restructure, i.e. your public holiday regime up there in Queensland, Twitter.
Yeah, we've got to talk about
Musk,
it. We've got a bit to talk about today, but this one has hit literally, 30 minutes before we were due to start the podcast. We've delayed to get our heads across it. It looks like it is official that Elon Musk is buying Twitter. Unbelievable.
Crazy. And I tried to sort of get my head around this sequence of events, if you will, because I remember seeing it somewhere last week. And I was thinking, how does Elon Musk buy what? What's going on? So I read in March, Elon bought 9% of Twitter. And then there was some chat about him joining the board and all of that because it's a pretty significant sharehold. But he didn't for whatever reason. And then on April the 14th, using Twitter, the great man Elon Musk tweeted an offer to buy Twitter for $54.20 US per share, which, by the way, is 38% above its trading value in New York there. So, like, I mean, you know, he's got some pretty cheeky tweets,
And
cheeky treats.
It's Elon Musk buying it, not Tesla. I assume it's him buying it in his own name.
I've read nothing of Tesla.
No.
More all Elon Musk.
Because he's worth, I was going to say he's worth about 240 billion.
Is
the
he?
Majority of which is his shareholding in Tesla. That's
right.
the value. So probably not a liquid value. I don't know whether he's borrowing, but it's a massive investment to make. Imagine having $54 billion of just a bit of spare cash floating around to go and invest in a little hobby that you've got, which is Twitter.
Cha-ching. Imagine being so wealthy that your 154 character tweet to offer to buy something is taken seriously and then seen through. So it looks like it's pretty much from what I can see and what you've just said, a done deal. He's bought Twitter in some capacity. Very interesting because Elon's really big on freedom of speech, you know, and of course, as many know, Trump was banned from Twitter January last year, 2021. So there's a lot of different trains of thought on that in terms of lack of freedom of speech or selective freedom of speech. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Elon does with that kind of stuff and I guess the changes that he makes.
As far as I can tell,
forward.
He's got the 7th most followers on Twitter. He's got about 84 million followers. He's not in the top 5. Could you hazard a guess at who the most followed person is on Twitter?
Well, I do know that Trumpy had 89 million when he was banned. So that was over a year ago. So he actually had more than Elon Musk.
That would have put him in the top 5. Yeah.
I'm okay. All right. I'm guessing that you know the answer. I reckon it's somewhere between. I reckon Cristiano Ronaldo's probably up there if he's got it.
He's 5th.
Because I know Shazer. And okay, I reckon it'll be someone random maybe. Like it's probably Kim Kardashian.
Not in the top 5.
Oh my days. What about Justin Bieber? Does he even have Twitter? Oh, we're getting close. Oh my God. More than Justin Bieber. Can I have a hint?
Yes, American. The person is American.
Far out. Jeez.
And it's a he.
Well, okay. Is it Aston Kutcher?
No.
Is he in the top 5? He
was
he's
not.
big back in the day.
He's not in the top 10.
Sorry, what am I talking about? He wouldn't be. Sorry, how many does Biebs have?
114 million.
Holy smokes. Okay. Taylor Swift. No, you said it's a guy. Sorry, Taylor. Shit, I know we're running out of time here, but I'm just really want to get a hold of my sweat glands. I am sweating in my sloppy jar over here.
Is technically a male or female name.
One more hint. Come on.
Not a artist of any kind.
A sporting athlete.
Not a sporting athlete.
Oh my God.
Do you want me to just
Is it a politician?
Yeah.
It's a politician.
Yeah.
And it's not Trumpy.
No.
It's not Joe Biden.
No, it's Barack Obama. He's got 130 million followers.
Shut up.
And Modi, the Prime Minister, I think. Modi's the Prime Minister of India. He comes in at 10th with just over 70 million followers. So
Barack Obama and then Bieber. Isn't that just unreal? That's unreal.
And Barack Obama, it is worth a bit of a Google. I don't have Twitter, but you can see people's tweets. Must not have to sign up. He's been particularly vocal on the issue of Elon Musk buying Twitter. And I think he's been fairly diplomatic about it. But I think if you read between the lines, he's a little bit anti it. Is if you're reading between the lines. So watch this space. It's riveting reading and something to follow, isn't it?
Sorry, let's not. Our followers aren't here to read between the lines. I'm going to say this without bias, but it's a Twitter. Jack Dorsey, owner, very much a Democrat. So of course Barack Obama hates Trump, anti-Republican. Republicans don't really have a voice on there. That's pretty much the. That's not. We don't. Come on, let's respect our loyal listeners. That's
Yeah,
That's what it
he's
is.
not
The Republicans don't have as much freedom of speech on the old tweets.
They don't want to hear us talk about that. Let's move on to the most popular segment of this podcast. Hit us away.
Back by Stat Fact.
The Stat Man.
Stat Fact. Kazi, I was going to do a fun fact, but that's the Stat Fact intro, so this is all you.
Oh, okay. I still can't figure out if I'm allowed to contribute to the fun fact or stat fact. I do have a stat though this week. Had Sam, he didn't deliver the goods. Stat Sam didn't deliver the goods on the Sydney airport numbers on Easter Monday. By the time I told him it was Thursday, and it was probably a bit hard to get the numbers from Monday.
This is your fault.
So partly my fault. In any event, from 1966 to today, if you look at the rents throughout Australia in the capital cities, rents have increased by 7.5% compounding. By comparison, inflation in the same period has been 5.44%. Therefore, rents have increased by just over 2% above inflation for the past 56 years.
Wow.
I thought that was an interesting stat, that technically rents have risen, faster than inflation itself.
Amazing. It'd be also interesting.
Thanks.
God, I love myself singing. That's great. That's great.
So what do you got for us on a fun fact level? Or do you have something to add about that stat fact? Does that surprise you?
It does actually. It does. It does, because
it surprised me.
I think traditionally we've worked on like 4 to 5% rental growth per annum. And, you know, that is, I guess that's conservative. No, it is. Well, it is conservative.
Even if you run the numbers from 1990, rents have still gone up by 2% above inflation. So it doesn't really matter. It's just a product of whatever the inflation is at the time. It's been a lot less in recent times. Through the 70s and 80s, it was a lot higher. Fun fact, stat fact. Does it qualify as a fun fact, or am I not there yet? Okay.
No. Hey, we love stat facts. Stat facts to us and you particularly are fun, but then also just a generically fun fact. This one I quite enjoyed. It's an April Fool's Day one, and I wish that I had brought it to you the week of April Fool's, but it's a bit late in the piece, still April nonetheless. In 1998, for April Fool's Day, Burger King played a little prank. They took out a full page in the US Today, some kind of magazine.
No, that's a
paper.
Newspaper, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I was thinking the same thing. They pulled out a big one-page ad introducing the new Whopper, designed especially for lefties. So people like yourself, left-handers.
Good.
Left-handers. The new burger would contain the same ingredients as the original, but rotated 180 degrees. Thousands of customers swarmed Burger King requesting the left-handed Whopper.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I love a really good big company prank on April Fool's. That's fantastic.
I probably would have fallen for that, to be honest. I think as a lefty, anything that's specifically designed for a left-hander, you just jump at the opportunity to get it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there you go, Kaz. There's your stat fact and my fun fact for the week.
Very good. Alex, as you reshuffle all your notes in whatever's going on down your way there, talk me through the ads that are running on radio for Seek. They've been grabbing your attention. I hadn't heard of them.
Mate, I knew that you weren't. I know you don't use fuel, but to not even ever listen to the radio is just, just get a grip. Would you get a grip? Where do you get off? TV. I know you watch TV.
Yes.
I've been hearing these ads on radio and then more recently TV.
Oh, TV.
Where you hear about
Seek's advertising on TV. I don't reckon they've ever done that.
I don't know for a fact, but they're talking about the great jobs boom. And I'm listening to these ads going, this must be like an ad for the state government or the federal government or something, trying to encourage people to get back to work. But it's actually a Seek ad. Where Seek are basically trying to push, maybe they're just competing a lot, but push people to go on and have a look with massive Seek ad volumes that have grown something like 36% in the last 12 months. And that, by the way, is companies looking to employ people. So there's no surprises there. What's our unemployment? 3.954 or whatever it is. So more people looking more companies looking than people looking for a job. But based on the job ad volumes, the industries with the most demand, trades and services, healthcare, no surprise. And all the medical stuff under there, hospitality and tourism, people busting to find workers there, manufacturing, transport, logistics.
Pretty much every industry.
Well, every industry, yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just really hard to find good work. And interestingly, they released some other stats here. A recent Seek survey found 59% of Australians have been reluctant to change jobs because they feel secure in their own role. So there are opportunities for people to leave their job, maybe try something new or earn something more elsewhere. But
they don't want to.
There's maybe still a little bit of nervousness post-COVID. I've got a job, I'm lucky, and I don't want to jeopardize that. Could be the case.
What about this one? Chefs, 4,000 ads for chefs today. Before the pandemic, they would get 38 applications per ad for a chef, getting 18 today. Software developers is apparently another one that's in very, very high demand. In just the last 3 months, they've seen a 27% drop in applications. So there's a lot going on. Seems like chefs, software developers, traditionally jobs that we have taken overseas talent or brought overseas talent in to fill those jobs. So I would dare say it's a matter of time before we're opening up the borders and allowing a real easy pathway into the country for those particular professions.
That's right. I was going to say that, but I love that. The great job boom. I love it.
It does sound like it should be government advertising.
It does. The lady's voice and everything. Now, moving over into something, I guess, not directly relevant to it, but I suppose in terms of, our cost of living and this whole affordability on housing chat, it's a recent report was released by the Great Southern Bank. Never heard of them, but I'll take their stats nonetheless. Buying is cheaper than renting for 40% of first home buyers. Isn't that amazing? I mean, okay, yes. Let's not completely disregard you've got to save a pretty decent deposit in the first chance to actually get the home alongside your grants and whatnot. But on a month-to-month basis, it's actually cheaper. It says here more than 2 in 5 recent homeowners are paying less on their mortgage than they did rent. Love it. A poll of 1,500 first home buyers found that 42% of current homeowners actually pay less on their mortgage than renting, while another 26% pay about the same. About the same.
Well, if you think about it, you should be. Interest rates are so low today. Rents are going up by, as much as 10% in most capital cities.
Yep.
And yet you're still able to borrow for 3%, maybe even with a 2 in front of it for first home buyers. Makes sense to me. 42% is very high, though.
It makes a lot of sense. So it's very high, but it's always important to get this context around numbers. So when we talk about homes being unaffordable, yes, they have gone up a lot. But, when we work backwards and look at a month-to-month, outgoing as a cost of living with a direct comparison to rent, it's a very interesting exercise of affordability. That's all I'm going to say there because the people get angry. What else have you got for us here?
Affordability. It's a real popular one for us. Do we still get feedback on that Facebook post from 2 years ago?
We get that. We just get a thrashing. For new listeners, we there's a video I posted of us talking about how it's more affordable today to own a property than it was in the 90s. And that's purely based on statistics. A lot of it is pulled from ABS, and a lot of other economists, by the way, have said it. We're not two young, dumb idiots just coming out and saying it's easy. We're just saying on an affordability. But, yeah, it drives a lot of people up the wall. But many times, cuz I've reached out and I said, hey, we'll have a conversation with you. Like, can we help you? There's no need to get angry.
Hey, whilst
I am salty.
Not salty. I'm here to help. You're salty.
Hey, whilst we're on the topic of what banks are collecting in the way of surveys, NAB do one every quarter which details foreign buyers and what proportion of sales in the country are being sold to foreign buyers. It was as high as 15% from 2014 to 2015. 2018 onwards, it's been well below 10% and got as low as 2% in the middle of last year when people just didn't want to look outside of their own country. Some positive and encouraging news, though. We're back up to about 5 or 6%, in fact 6% on the nose of all transactions in the last quarter were sold to foreign buyers.
You know, anecdotally, people would say, oh, foreign buyers are who push up our market and inflate it. But when you quote those numbers, cuz they're actually pretty low. I don't know if 1 to 2% of purchases is inflating our market. Of course, there are those unique one-off big spenders in the sexy suburbs around our capitals, but it would seem there, cuz, that they are not.
Well, the average is 9% over the past 15, 20 years since NAB's been taking the survey. So yeah, to be 6% now, well below what it has been on average, and very, very well below the 15% that it probably got to and shouldn't have been at. It probably should never have been as high as 15%. But yeah, 6% and on the way up, showing that Australia seems to be very attractive from an overseas perspective, which I think is a good thing. Hey, I want to talk about population. We love population. And the data has come out only in the past couple of weeks about population trends in different LGAs throughout Australia. So that includes
local government areas.
Local government areas. That includes the big cities. It also includes some of the big regional areas. And what we've been able to get our hands on is a comparison from 1954 to 2021. And then there's a forecast that can that we can talk about at the back end, which looks at what the population may look like in 2054. And it's really interesting reading to look at the comparisons from 1954, when the Australian population was much, much less. Like the top 20 cities in Australia, the population was at that time, what are we? 20.5. I lie.
No, sorry, in 1954, top 20 cities, you look at the total population, 5.5 mil.
5.5 mil. Today, what is it? 20.5 mil.
20.5 mil, just under. And they're saying, cars, by 2054, the forecast is 33 million. And that's only in the top 20 cities. So then you've got your regional clusters around, taking our total population trajectory by 2054 to be 38.5 million.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
And concentrated in the capital cities, it looks as though from now to 2054, we're going to see no net increase in the balance of the top 20 cities. So all of the population growth is set to occur in the top 20 capital cities or regional areas included in there. So,
you're quite right.
Yeah, well, we've gone from 5/8 of the whole population in Australia being comprised in those 20 main cities and regions to now 80%. So there's been a big jump. Sydney and Melbourne, real interesting. The forecast is that Melbourne, because of the way that the city is zoned and its ability to deliver infrastructure and affordable housing, set to overtake the Sydney population by 2054. As we speak today, it's 5.36 million versus 5 million in Melbourne, with Sydney having more people. So at some point, Melbourne may overtake Sydney. Scary thought.
It is, but I mean, it's been on the cards for a while. Just pre-pandemic, our gap was about 200,000 people. But of course, we've had a little bit of an exodus here in Melbourne, and then Sydney weren't hit as badly in lockdown. So it looks like people have indeed moved there. But huge to see that Melbourne's trajectory will be 8.9 million people by 2054, and Sydney 8.6. So it's still pretty much head to head. But I think you're damn right with affordability, infrastructure, even just more development opportunity by way of land topography. Melbourne makes a bit more sense in that regard.
And it's really interesting. The top 5 from 1954 to today, there was only one change, and that is that Perth overtook Adelaide. So Perth went from 5th to 4th. The top 5 does not change in any of these periods, even out to 2054. The only forecast change at the next time that we take this data will be Melbourne overtaking Sydney. I do think, though, it's positions 6 to 10 that are the most interesting in my opinion. So we've got from 6 to 10, Newcastle, Hobart, Wollongong, Geelong and Launceston in 1954. They get replaced by the Gold and Sunshine Coast, Canberra, and then we've still got Newcastle and Geelong in the 6 to 10 position. So all these lifestyle areas which probably didn't exist, or I dare say the Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast didn't exist, and probably Canberra wasn't the capital in 1954, I would guess. I think Melbourne was still the capital and where all of the politics was done. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, really? I knew we were the OG capital, but I couldn't tell you when.
Anyway, we have nerded out on that. Did think it was really interesting, though, and a scary thought for Melbourne to overtake Sydney at some point. I want to round out by talking about two things here.
Okay. All right.
Number one.
It's your show, Kazzy.
Number one is the 180-day stay limit. I want to flag it because you remember last year, New South Wales introduced a 180-day limit on Airbnbs.
Or like short stay accommodation, yeah.
Came into effect from January 1.
Oh.
So come June 30, they will have hit the 180-day limit. So my question is, are we going to see an influx of properties that maybe go in the 6-month rental pool, the longer-term rental pool, come 1 July? What do you think?
Well, you've really hit me with a left of field here because I didn't expect this, but maybe. But hey, those places are fully furnished. They're fully furnished, so they're going to have to rent them out even if on a 6-day longer-term lease as fully furnished. I don't know. What is the market's capacity for that? That's the question.
I don't know, but we've got a massive shortage of rental accommodation today, so it would go a fair way to helping to solve some of those issues, particularly in places like the Gold Coast, which is one of the most undersupplied rental markets in Australia today. There'd be a lot of homes that sit in the Airbnb pool in that northern New South Wales by extension, which would be caught up in there. But no, anyway, a little tidbit. All right, so that for a long weekend, first day back, it's like fake Monday today. It's been a big pod. We've had a bit to get through. A little curveball at the start with the Elon Musk thing. That sort of caught us wrong-footed. How do you want to wrap this one up?
Kelsey, I've got no preference here. I've got no preference at all, but I do know that your little favourite thing to say is recommend us to one of your friends, one of your friendsies. You might be out of friends at this point, which means you have to take to the internet. We want to see you on LinkedIn. We want to see you spruiking the Jooobbsss podcast.
Recommend us to a random sitting next to you on the bus or train.
Exactly. I just, accidentally dropped one of our fridge magnets that we've never made before that I just came up with. Oh my God, that's a great idea.
Show someone the social media handle and our Instagram as you're scrolling through.
Couldn't have come up with a better way to wrap it up with you, Kazzy. Hey guys, thanks for listening. We do drop our quick shots tomorrow. We try to keep it really short. So if you've got a few questions that have been buzzing around your head, no doubt somebody has actually asked us on quick shots as well. So dial into that. Every Friday we drop those. And of course, check us out on the gram. Thanks for listening to another episode of The Double Shot with your favourite cousins, Alex and James Fitzgerald. If you've got a burning question or something we absolutely need to talk about on the pod, please write to us. Both of our emails are in the show notes. For little real estate tidbits and a little bit of banter, a lot of banter, you can follow us on the gram. Our handle is thedoubleshot.podcast. That, my friends, is thedoubleshot.podcast. Until next time, think of us when you sit back and sip your next double shot.